Welcome to the Hotel Moment podcast presented by Revinate. I'm Brenna Turpin, and I'm a Revinator who works alongside our host, Karen Stevens, to produce our podcast. Our guests here on the show leave us with insights and perspectives to consider as we take on challenges within the industry. We decided to complement those perspectives with industry resources and practical solutions that you can implement right away to improve your operations and generate more direct revenue. So pull the chair, let's get straight to what matters most for your property. Let me start with something every hotelier knows, but rarely probably says out loud. The holidays don't just bring demand, they bring the right kind of demand. And what I mean by that is guests are emotional over the holidays. They're motivated, they're willing to spend more, and they're actively choosing the places where they want to create memories. So this is the moment when a hotel's direct booking strategy either shines or it misses out. Because while OTAs will spend aggressively this month, your property has something far more powerful. You know your guests, you have their data, and you have 6 strategies that together can turn December into your most profitable direct booking season of the year and set you up for a strong start in 2026. Today, we're tying all 6 together: loyalty, segmentation, OTA win-back, cart abandonment, lead nurture, and upsells into one connected playbook. And we've covered them all on the podcast since July of this year, and now it's come full circle. And it all starts with your data, because personalization is the new expectation. Our conversations on Hotel Moment made it clear. Guests expect personalization. Nearly 70% of travelers will say they will not engage with communication unless they feel it's personalized, a finding echoed across studies by McKinsey, Deloitte, and others. But Renee Murrieta shared in her episode that expectation can feel intimidating.
70% of your database wants you to talk to you in a personal way. And you do have that data, but gosh, how do you approach that? So, yeah, I think that there's a recipe for success that involves both duplication and inclusion. These are 2 things I talk about often, or that we apply often. It doesn't, so customizing a message to a specific audience, you have the data points to do that. You can get something in front of them that you think is going to resonate with them, and hopefully it does. And the results show that it does. There are higher engagement rates when you do this. But it doesn't mean that every piece of that message or that campaign that you're putting in front of them, whether it's email or elsewhere on your website, you can do this with tools with website personalization now as well. It doesn't mean that every part of it has to say, hey, I know you live in the Northeast and you need to get down to south to Florida pretty soon because it's cold. You can say that once, maybe. You maybe want your subject line calling out something that's going to catch their attention. Maybe that lead story is speaking to heading south for the winter. But the rest of the content could be rather evergreen. And the way that you can then be successful is that inclusion piece. When you do this, you could get really focused on your targeted campaigns and, okay, we're going to send this to this subset. But what about everybody else? What are they getting? That's what's important to remember. And that's why I say inclusion is that you don't want to leave big sets of your database out and untouched for months on end because you've been focusing on all these hyper-focused segmentation strategies.
You have the data. You know guests want tailored content, but how do you use that data in a scalable, repeatable way? Her answer was simple and powerful: a strategy of duplication and inclusion. Create one strong target campaign using the data points you already have, like geolocation, family status, interests, or past stay behavior, then duplicate it for other segments, adjusting only the pieces that need to change. That's how you make sure every guest gets something relevant without reinventing the wheel for every single campaign. This is the foundation of all 6 strategies: clean, connected, first-party data. Which leads us to loyalty. Loyalty is your multiplier, emotional plus transactional. One of the most impactful loyalty conversations on the podcast was with Ellis Connolly, who broke loyalty down into 2 parts.
Because there's 2 types of loyalty that we think about, right? There's that parking fee loyalty, which is transactional. And then there's the emotional piece to that, right? And I think what Laasie does really well is we're able to really blend those 2 to tie both together, your transactional and your emotional loyalty. So you get full circle on making that guest feel really good, making the guest feel that we've thought about them as a hotel and what we want to offer them from a reward content. And then we give them things to experience outside of just staying in your hotel.
Because true loyalty isn't just points, it's personalization and recognition. Because maintaining a relationship beyond the stay is critical. When you pair that with first-party data, with personalization and incentive-driven rewards, loyalty becomes the engine underneath all your direct booking efforts. This matters during the holidays more than any other season because holiday travelers don't just want a room. They want belonging, family moments, and traditions. So when you activate loyalty in December, you're not just encouraging the next booking, you're building an emotional connection that carries into Q1. Which ties into our next strategy of segmentation, the secret to making holiday messaging actually work. And here's the big idea behind segmentation. Segmentation isn't about narrowing your audience, it's about increasing your relevance. Families planning multi-room stays, couples looking for New Year's Eve experiences, remote workers chasing sunshine, past holiday guests, local staycation visitors, your OTA bookers from last year. Each one responds to different emotional drivers, which means the holiday season is not the time for generic campaigns. It's the perfect moment for geo-targeted escape from the cold messaging, family-specific experiences, romance-led New Year's Eve getaway content, local winter event features, loyalty member early access, past guest reactivation, all of those. When segmentation works, every email feels like it was written for that guest in that moment. And that leads us into our next strategy, OTA win-back. This is going to be the secret to your holiday revenue engine. OTA reliance spikes in Q4 because OTAs spend aggressively to capture holiday traffic. But here's the kicker. Most OTA guests don't actually prefer OTAs. They just don't have a compelling reason to book direct. Holiday campaigns can change that instantly. Festive storytelling, exclusive access, tradition-driven content, loyalty perks, early booking windows. These are things that only you can offer. And OTA win-back campaigns consistently perform with 41% open rates and a $5 to $6 revenue per email sent. That's not just a marketing channel, that's a margin recovery machine. When you combine OTA win-back with segmentation and loyalty, you reclaim holiday demand instead of losing it to commissions. And so if you happen to find yourself losing more guests than you'd like, a cart abandonment strategy, capturing those almost book holiday guests is where you want to start as well. Holiday shoppers bounce a lot. Budgets are tighter, families are coordinating, travelers are comparing rooms, dates, and packages. But here's the good news. Most cart abandoners have extremely high intent, and they will convert quickly when you follow up. Automated cart abandonment nudges do the heavy lifting. Reminders about dates they were considering, with still deciding prompts, gentle urgency of holiday weekends are filling fast, loyalty member pricing, add-ons they viewed during their session. This is revenue you already earned. Now you just need to capture it. And speaking of capturing leads, a lead nurture strategy goes like this. Speed equals sales. In hospitality, speed equals sales. Leads go cold fast. Holiday leads go cold even faster. When someone fills out a form for a holiday party, a winter retreat, a Christmas family stay, a New Year's Eve package, your response time determines the booking outcome. This is where Jason Wells from Revinate provided such a valuable lesson, speaking about Dean Blackburn's work with French Lick Resorts.
They're actually leading that guest journey and getting that guest excited and wanting to book and picking up on those interests. So even if they don't book the spa, the restaurant, the golf on that initial call, it is marked on that reservation and that lead form. So when your outbound experience design team's giving them a call, they know exactly what to focus on when they're talking to that guest and engaging with them.
Reservation agents aren't just order takers, they're storytellers, they're experience designers, and they're the beginning of the guest journey. They catch the guest's interest early, spa, golf, dining activities, even when the guest doesn't book them in the moment. Then their outbound team follows up with precision. That is modern lead nurturing with speed. That is personalization in action. And when you do that, you have more opportunities to upsell. Upsells are especially powerful during the holidays. For upselling, both digital and voice channels matter, but voice-led upsells are the emotional closer, especially in December because holiday guests want to feel excited. We notice you're traveling with kids. Want us to rearrange a hot cocoa welcome? Would you like an add-on for a holiday breakfast with Santa? We have a New Year's Eve wine pairing. Should I reserve you 2 seats? All examples like that tapping into your emotional connection with guests. And as we talked about earlier, French Lick proved that when your agents are emotionally invested and when they're excited, guests say yes. Digital upsells handle the scalable revenue. Voice upsells capture the memory-making moments. Together, they drive massive ADR lift across holiday stays. So how do these 6 strategies give you a strong Q1 in 2026? Because the holiday season is the highest intent, highest emotion period of the year. And when you pair your data with these 6 strategies of segmentation, loyalty, OTA win-back, cart abandonment, lead nurture, and upsells, you're not just optimizing December, you're filling your direct funnel with engaged, known, loyal guests who will book again early in Q1. Just ask Britton Resorts and Hotels. Their revenue-driving strategy unified these exact elements, and it generated $63 million in direct revenue while increasing repeat visits and loyalty conversions. So that is a rundown of the playbook, and now is the moment to use it. If you want this holiday season to be your direct booking breakthrough, lean into these 6 strategies as one connected system. Use your first-party data, tell your seasonal story, segment smarter, nurture faster, upsell with emotion, and win back every OTA guest you possibly can. This month is your window, and Q1 2026 depends on what you do right now. And thank you to everyone who participated in our Direct Booking Mastery certification this year, where we zeroed in on each of these strategies. It was awesome to see what everyone took away and implemented at their own hotels. So thank you for joining us, and here's to a profitable holiday season in your strongest Q1 yet.